חודש שני, קרקעית. המשך המנהרה. עוד פה מחובטת לחשמל, צבורים של סולר, מאווררים, עוד פתח עלייה. מצבירים, ופה בעצם זה עולה לבית השני.
How insane is that? Right, honestly, that this stuff exists, but to this extent, that you have, I love this, the metal spiral staircase in the middle of the store that they end up climbing down into. But then you get into the tunnel, and what I noticed, that what's more about these ones, you know, over in Gaza, you've got the concrete tunnels. I'm trying to find, you've got like the concrete tunnels. So these ones are like framed out, drywalled in. You've got shoes, you've got living quarters, you've got all sorts of stuff that's down in there, along with like showers and freaking all of that crap. And it's a lot different than what Hamas is dealing with over inside of Gaza. Incog says YouTube gags on used boofed Bravos. Yeah, don't boof your Bravos, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the recommended dosage. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Do not boof your Bravo energy pouches. It is not recommended. Don't do it. Stay away. Yeah, please don't boof your Bravo. Additionally, Hezbollah has shot down, and this ended up getting confirmed by Israel today. Hezbollah did, in fact, shoot down an Israeli drone over Tyre Tier. I forget how to pronounce the dang name of it, but these little dudes, they're so happy they shot this down. Some footage of this wreckage has in fact come out. You can see the drone being broken apart, and like I said, I believe the IDF came out and confirmed that from what I've seen so far, so nothing to worry about there. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for your update today. Nothing new is coming out. I do expect, if things are going to drop, it's going to be after the market ends up closing 100%. Oh, you know what? No, I've got two videos I want to show you guys. The first one's funny. The second one is not so funny. Okay, so this is going to be the first video that I end up showing. And you guys are going to love it. You guys are going to absolutely love this. Don't leave yet. Don't go anywhere yet. You guys aren't going to want to leave yet. Sorry about that. You guys aren't going to want to leave yet. You guys want to stay here. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. You want to watch this. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. You want to watch this. Ready? Read.
سعد الوهابي شيخنا رزقكم الله الشهادة والحور العين في الجنة. أردت رضي الله عنكم أن أقوم بعملية استشهادية، وتقدمت إلى الشيخ أبو الدماء القصاب، وقال لي إننا ابتكرنا طريقة جديدة وغير مسبوقة في العمليات الاستشهادية، وهو أن يلاك في دبرك كبسولات تفجير، ولكي تتدرب على هذه الطريقة الجهادية لابد أن ترضى أن يلاط بك فترة كي يتسع دبرك وتكون مؤخرتك قادرة على أن تتحمل عبوة التفجير. وسؤالي رحمك الله، هل يجوز أن أبيح دبري لأحد الإخوة المجاهدين إذا كانت النية صالحة والهدف الدربة على الجهاد، يمكن تدريب على الجهاد ليقوم بتوسيع دبري؟ فحمد الله الشيخ وأثنى عليه وقال الأصل أن اللواط محرم ولا يجوز، غير أن الجهاد أولى، فهو سنام الإسلام، وإن كان سنام الإسلام لا يتحقق إلا باللواط فلا بأس فيه. فالقاعدة الفقهية تقول الضرورات تبيح المحظورات، وما لا يتحقق الواجب إلا به فهو واجب، وليس هناك أوجب من الجهاد، وعليك أن يلاط بك.
Whoever it was that brought up boofing Bravos, that's because of you, man. I completely forgot that existed until you guys brought up boofing Bravos. Anyways, yeah, don't boof your Bravos. Don't boof your IEDs either, man. Like, don't do that. Now, I'm going to close it out. I'm going to leave you guys with this. All right, this is the next video I'm going to close out, and I'm going to leave you guys. But this is an actual woman that is talking about, I believe it was 9 or 10 years old, actually being sold off to a 40-year-old man. ladies and gentlemen, Islam's a death cult. Peace, love, happiness. God bless. I am out of here.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أنا كان عمري 10 سنوات. بعدين تقدم لي أحد الأشخاص. إخواني وافقوا علي. دفع لهم 700,000 وافقوا علي. زوجوني وأنا لسه في المدرسة يعني. أنا صغيرة ما كنتش حق زواج. أنا كان أشتي أكمل تعليمي أدرس أكون حاجة في المستقبل. أكيد أنا كنت رافضة يعني الزواج، لأن أنا أول شي ما كنتش داري أعيش مزوج، ويعني زي ما ذكرت سابقا كان حلمي إن أنا أكمل تعليمي، وما كنتش يعني أشتي هذا الزواج بالذات لأنه إنسان كبير جدا يعني كان عمري 10 سنين وهو 40 سنة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أنا كان عمري 10 سنة.
She was saying that her brothers were offered money when she was 10 years old. She was 10 and he was 40. Right, and so oftentimes, I mean, it's not always giving them the child permanently or having them get married. Like in some cases they say they have to get married. Well, in some parts of the world, yeah, I guess. They don't have laws in place yet, but I'm sure many would like that. I mean, there was a time here when we didn't have those laws in place, right? Yeah. It seems like many don't kind of grasp those kind of things sometimes and then use the places that don't have those laws yet, like third world countries or other places that, whatever it is, evolutionary chain, I don't know. Right, and then they use places, well, look at what they're doing. They do it over there, so it's okay to do it over here. Right, well, we should change our laws to be like their laws then, and make it legal. If it's our right, they have a right, it should be our right. It's insane when you start getting into like the child kind of stuff, different things, age. Yeah. It's just a matter of what's considered, abuse, pornographic. There's so many levels with the abuse and torture, consensual. I mean, it's really sick. If you understand these cases and you've actually been able to talk, to a lot of the people, it can get pretty disturbing trying to comprehend their way of thinking or how they've somehow justified that they didn't do anything wrong. They think it's okay for some reason. Yeah, and some of them know it's wrong and they're just sick. They're very sick people. They did some bad things, and for some, they don't even want to do it, but it's so profitable and the offer's right there in their lap and they get the offer. Not everybody is in connections with people that can make those kind of offers, right? So, I mean, when you have someone in a position to carry through those kind of things and then are connected with people who can make those kind of offers, that's when you get some of the worst kind of crimes with that. But yeah, to follow through with what you were saying, it's not always them being sold off and given. Right, in some cases where the brothers were offered money, they might not have necessarily given the girl to go with them and marry him. Right, I mean, in places where that's not okay, I mean, you wouldn't get away with that, really, technically speaking. Right, so in a lot of places, especially here in the United States, what happens is, especially with the kids that can't talk, and even the ones that can't, they, over the years, some of those severe abuse cases, they give them different drugs, chloroform and things like that over the years. In 2012, that was taken off the market because people were rising the concern about that. Once it, again, yeah, you could buy it online up until 2012, I believe. Right, so a lot of these kids get abused. They get put out in their sleep, get abused, wake up, they don't even know. Sometimes have recollections, or was that a dream? And then, over the years we've talked about a lot of those different investigations and things. It gets pretty sad and scary. Right, so sometimes they're not just necessarily passing the kid over to give to them permanently, it's to sexually abuse them. And they get away with this all the time. And they do it daily to these kids. You would be amazed at the torture these kids endure and go through. I can't even... You start to talk about it and we either, you just start crying, you can't even talk, or you just get angry. It's one or the other, really. How could you not if you're any kind of decent human being? It's hard for us. I mean, a lot of people are strong and are able to do that. I find that we're able to do that ourselves, I think. Sometimes when it's more personally, it can be a little more intense, right? Like if you were to hear, hey, some kid just died. Hey, 8 kids were just shot in Louisiana. I mean, you hear it's horrible. But if you were to hear, hey, your child just got killed in an accident, you're going to feel a little bit more, right? It's only natural. Yeah. Right. Oh, thanks. Yes, you're welcome. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, these cases can get pretty difficult for a lot of people, and it's sad. The level of deaths and suicides we see with people who get involved with those cases at that level. It's total madness. It's Mad Hatter City. Bunch of Mad Hatters and mayhem, Gotham. Yeah, wow. Did I see what? What now? Was that? Yeah, he would always say that. It was either, it would either be, say what now? Or, what's the other one? Come at me again. Come at me again. Yes. Too funny. Right, so say what would usually be more like, say what? It was something like that. Or like, come at me again would be like the more serious things. Like, you didn't just say that. Like, come at me again. Yeah, come at me again with that. What? No. Yes.
They're going to release, it was protesting. 8 beautiful young women. Very young women, and the pictures in the paper, and it's been a story for a little while, and I saw that, and I said, let's see if we can save them, and it was very nice what happened. So they're not going to be, what they're doing is, as you know, they're releasing 4 of them very shortly, and they're going to keep 4 of them in jail for a period of 1 month and release them, so they won't be executed yet.
So President Trump has, he went through a lot there, but what he's explaining mostly has to do with the time factor. And what he pointed out is that Iran is under a time crunch because they're running out of storage capacity for oil. And if they run out of storage capacity, as we've talked about before, they're going to have to shut off their wells, and that's really, really, really bad. Okay? So we know this is the case. We know that they're getting close to this because they are almost full of all of their storage that still exists, and now they are taking an old crude carrier that was retired, that was just floating around offshore for the last 10 years or so. It's more than 30 years old, and it's just a rust bucket, but they're towing it all the way to Karg Island from here. So you see this map. They're towing it from right up near Bandar Abbas all the way up to Karg Island. Why we don't sink that thing is beyond me. We know it's empty right now. That trip would normally take 1.5 days to make it to Karg Island, but it's gonna take them 4 days to tow that thing up there to Karg Island. What does that do for them? Well, that very large crude carrier, as old and rusty as it is, can hold about 2 million barrels of oil. That gives them an extra couple of days, maybe, of storage capacity. It doesn't help them a whole lot, but it will help them by a couple of days. So why don't we sink that thing? And we know that they're doing it. I'm not sure exactly, the thought process that they're going through at the Pentagon. But that's okay. The stoppage of the Strait of Hormuz is affecting the price of oil, as we've shown you since the beginning. But President Trump says it hasn't affected the price of oil near as much as he expected it to when this thing started. So this is an interesting answer to this question.
I'm not asking anybody for more time.
You need more time. Does that mean Americans should anticipate spending more on gasoline for the foreseeable future?
For a little while. And you know what they get for that? You know what they get for that? Iran without a nuclear weapon that's going to try and blow up one of our cities or blow up the entire Middle East. You want to see what shock would be? And I have to be honest, the stock market is at an all-time high right now. I thought it would have been down 20, 25%. Wait, can I finish my question, wise guy?
Can I finish my question, wise guy? He doesn't pull any punches with the press.
The old people are coughing in the village.
And that was a very good answer. He's saying, yeah, Americans are going to have to pay a little more at the pump for a while, but in exchange for that, they get the ability to never worry about Iran blowing us up with a nuclear bomb. And what he didn't say is that the risk premium that has existed for decades on all oil because of the threat from Iran, and not just that, but on other things too, will go away. If that goes away, then we will all save money in the long run, even if we have to pay a little more at the pump right now. No, it's painful for a lot of people having to pay so much to fill your tank. I went and filled my Land Cruiser up the other day, and it was $200, and it didn't even fill both tanks. And it was just, I've got 180 liters of gas tanks in that thing, so it's a lot, but still, a couple $100, whew, that's expensive. So I get it, that's a pain. But in the long run, this is a sacrifice I'm willing to make, and I hope most Americans are as well.
Wait, I'll do you one better. Hold on.
They're asking him about these negotiations. And President Trump is saying, look, we're trying to give negotiations a chance. The Iranians are not being helpful in that, and part of the reason is because we don't know who to deal with.
I can only tell you this, it'll end. I don't think it'll be very long, by the way. They're delaying it because we don't know who to deal with. They are they know who the leader is in this country. We don't know who the leader is in Iran. Because remember, regime change. Khomeini is gone. He's gone to greener pastures. He's gone, and all of his team is gone. Then a second group came in, they're all gone.
The grass
now you have the third group, and they're a little concerned about being gone too.
He gone. He's gone on to greener pastures. Let's hope that they're much hotter pastures, since that guy definitely deserves a special place in hell. But President Trump is saying he's kind of letting slip something that they've been trying kind of not to say in the last.
Get over $2,500 in savings when you install new high-efficiency propane equipment with Dead River Company. Plus, get 3-year low fixed propane pricing and expert support from people you can count on. Get a free estimate at deadriver.com.
Not everyone's life runs in straight lines. At Sophia, we get that. Our flexible, affordable, self-paced college-level courses help thousands of people just like you complete their degrees for only $99.
I'm just reading that. So it says, in 2026, Japan will launch the first commercial engine that generates electricity by burning a mixture containing up to 30% hydrogen with a warranty and upgrade option after 11 months of testing in Kobe and with the promise of decarbonization without changing the pipes.
Very badly burned and probably will lose a leg. And I mean, so this guy's not in any shape to lead in anytime soon. Believe me, Iran is going to run out of places to put its oil well before Muqtada Khamenei is well enough to actually rule. A lot of people have talked about the fact that we took out Khamenei, the father, and his son is more radical than he is. So the people that are in charge now are more radical than the people who were in charge at the beginning. That may be true, but it doesn't mean it wasn't worth doing. And we ought to just continue to take those people out, continue to work to end this regime. And that may actually happen. I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. But before I do, I want to show you from the Pentagon's press briefing today what they had to say about what Secretary of War Pete Hegseth had to say about destroying these fast boats.
President Trump has authorized the United States Navy to destroy any Iranian fast boats that attempt to put mines in the water or disrupt passage through the Strait of Hormuz, to shoot and kill. Our commanders have clear rules of engagement. If Iran is putting mines in the water or otherwise threatening American commercial shipping or American forces, we will shoot to destroy. No hesitation, just like the drug boats in the Caribbean.
So we should have been doing that a long time ago. I don't know why all of a sudden now this is a big priority. Why wasn't this priority day one? But good to see them, better late than never, right? Then he also is talking about the blockade, and he's pushing back on the media's narrative that there have been a bunch of ships that have run the blockade and have gotten through. Now, there's some challenges with this narrative that Hegseth is advancing here, that we know every ship that's gone through, and we're allowing ships to go through if they're not Iranian ships, but we've stopped every single ship that we wanted to stop. The challenge I see with that is, according to reports, some of the ships that have gone through have been sanctioned ships moving Iranian oil, and so far about 10 million barrels of oil have been able to sneak out, which is perhaps the United States trying to have its cake and eat it too. But look at this. I'll get to your question in just a second.
That mission continues today in this new phase, as Iran has an important choice, a chance to make a deal, a good deal, a wise deal. As part of that effort, the United States has imposed an ironclad blockade that grows more powerful by the day. From the Gulf of Oman to the open oceans, our Navy is enforcing this blockade without hesitation or apology. Now, as usual, there's a lot of false information out there. I'll say this, every ship that the U.S. believes meets our criteria, either Iranian ships or to and from Iranian ports, has been turned around. As of this morning, 34 total. Non-Iranian vessels are allowed to transit, and many have, including overnight. Not only is the blockade growing, in fact, a second aircraft carrier will join the blockade in just a few days, But this growing blockade is also gone global. Just this week, we seized 2 Iranian dark fleet ships in the Indo-Pacific region that had left Iranian ports before the blockade went into effect. They thought they made it out just in time. They did not. We seized their sanctioned ships, and we will seize more. Our blockade is growing and going global.
So they're not just blockading ships in the Strait of Hormuz, they're going to be going after ships that would help Iran anywhere they find them. Okay, Devin put up a question here. Come on. Stop Nick Shirley Act in California, direct attack on the First Amendment just passed. Hopefully someone picks that up and takes it to the Supreme Court. I'm sure that will go to the Supreme Court, and I'm pretty sure it will be struck down. You got a bunch of whack job activist judges. You know what else they just passed? They just passed a law that decriminalized certain forms of sexual behavior between adults and minors in California, which I won't go into any graphic detail on that, but it's pretty gross, if you ask me. So California proving once again, number one, it's not America. Number two, those people are crazy. It's a granola land, right? The land of fruits, flakes, and nuts. And there's some very good people, very good conservatives that are still in California, and I just don't understand why. Why haven't you voted with your feet yet? Pull up stakes and go somewhere that in America. Okay. All right. So next, that's what we got for Pete Hegseth. Now he's talking about the armada that's floating around out there. We now have more than 15,000 troops on station. There's somebody put up this graphic today, and it shows 15,000 troops.
It's a structured system of ideas, beliefs, and values.
2003 was the last time 3 carriers operated in the CENTCOM AOR.
Right.
You
So
see
it's
12 ships
I
here.
don't know if that's
Nimitz,
based on
Ford,
the context of his
and
discussion.
the
Probably
Bush is
similar.
not quite there yet. It'll be there probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that'll add another, 6-8 ships to the mix. We've got 200 plus aircraft of all different sorts, and all of those are arrayed off there. So if they do have to go back to fighting, they are ready, willing, and able to do so at a moment's notice. Okay.
Yeah, I
Now,
guess different areas would consider it
President
like
Trump, I missed this last question. That I told you he was asked some really stupid questions. Nate, did you have was there another question there?
It depends on, I guess,
I would
what
have a
area
convenience
you're
store
in
boat,
the world.
sell all those ship crews snacks and necessities, maybe even take special orders, make some cash. Yeah, actually, John,
Yeah, kind of
there
like
are boats
some
that do
places
that.
might say, what a crank
That's
pot.
actually very common
But you've never
here
heard the
in
term
Panama, in the
crank
Panama
pot.
Canal.
It's just really
I knew a
common
guy
where
from
you're
Venezuela who started a
And you know
business
exactly what someone
going
means
out
when they
to
say
these
crank
ships that are
pot.
waiting to go through the Panama Canal. Sometimes they have to wait for like 2 weeks before they get their slot to go through the canal. So they just
Bunch
hang out
of
offshore. It used to be
shenanigans.
they would let their sailors go ashore and go to the whorehouses and go to the bars and go, cavort. But they don't let them do that anymore. It's very rare to see any sailors in Panama City now. I guess because it's just too much liability, and the ships are in a big hurry. So those sailors sit around out there in the tropical heat for 2 weeks waiting to go through the canal. I would be ready to jump overboard if I was one of those guys. And this Venezuelan friend of mine got a little boat, and he was a air conditioning technician, and he would go around to those boats that were waiting around out there and fix their air conditioners for them, and he made good money doing it. So yeah, that's a good idea, and a lot of people are doing it. Rainey says the podcast about Joe Kent, Sean Ryan was the best explanation of what's going on right now. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Rainey. We are probably going to do that some more. I think it's important to call out people that are spreading misinformation and try to give them some pushback so that you'll be able to see what's happening and who's throwing the ball over the fence, so to speak. Okay, so there was this really dumb question. This takes the cake for the dumbest question that's been asked of President Trump lately, and it was due to rumors that were floating around. There was a supposed leak that came out that said that President Trump was considering using nuclear weapons on Iran, which is as dumb as it gets. But here's what he said when he was asked about that.
Weapon against Iran. You posted on
No.
Truth Social
No,
a few weeks ago.
we don't need it.
That's not
Why do
what
I need it? Why would a stupid question like that be asked?
Do you post
Why
on-
would I use a nuclear weapon when we've totally, in a very conventional way, decimated them without it? No, I wouldn't use it. A nuclear weapon should never be allowed to be used by anybody.
Yeah, so obviously, yeah, nuclear weapon is off the table. President Trump believes, as I have always said, that nuclear weapons only work as a deterrent weapon, not as an actual offensive weapon. And so once anybody uses a nuclear bomb for anything other than deterrence, everybody will use their nuclear bombs, and it'll be very bad. Be very, very bad. Everybody knows that. It's called the nuclear taboo. And that's been a thing for a long time. Now, for their part, Israel is kind of chomping at the bit to get back to fighting full force. There are still a lot of things that they have left that they want to blow up. Totally understandable. They've got a very good target set, and it's loaded and ready. So here's Israel Katz, the defense minister, talking about that.
To resume the war against Iran. The IDF is ready on both defense and offense, and the targets are marked. We are awaiting a green light from the United States, first and foremost to complete the elimination of the Khamenei lineage, the architect of the plan to destroy Israel, and the successive replacements within the leadership of Iran's terror regime, and additionally to push Iran back into a dark age by striking key energy and power facilities and crippling its national economic infrastructure. The Iranian terror regime specializes mainly in internal repression of its population through the Revolutionary Guards and the Basij, and in energy blackmail through threats to raise global oil prices. It is on its knees. Its leaders are hiding in tunnels, struggling to communicate and make decisions. Its skies are wide open, and all of its national infrastructure and strategic facilities are exposed to attack. Yet, it claims victory. Like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, it does not care about the heavy price paid by the population, only about its own survival, which is not guaranteed. This time, the attack will be different and more lethal. It will deliver devastating blows at the most sensitive points, building on the massive strikes the Iranian terror regime has already suffered and will shake and collapse its foundations.
Okay, so that is Israel Katz giving his, very firm response. And, this is crazy because there's been all this talk, again, the woke right, this halal right, talking about how Israel is controlling Washington, D.C. They're controlling President Trump. They're calling the shots. They're telling President Trump what to do next. They've dragged him into war. You've heard all these things ad nauseum. But here Israel is saying, we're going to do what we need to do, and we are waiting on President Trump's approval for us to go back to fighting. So President Trump is calling the shots here, not us. Now, they have caveated that. They've said, look, we're going to act in our own best interests, but we are acquiescing to President Trump when he tells us not to, go back to heavy-handed bombing in Beirut or Lebanon, etc. Even though they are bombing things. I mean, in the last 24 hours, Hezbollah has fired several salvos of rockets at Israel. They shot most of those down, and then they blew up the place where they were being launched from. In one strike, they apparently managed to kill 100 Hezbollah in one place. That's what's being claimed anyway on social media. And so when it comes to ceasefire, it's not exactly a ceasefire, if you know what I mean. The ceasefire is, again, between Lebanon and Israel and the United States, none of whom are actually fighting against each other. And Hezbollah has specifically said that they reject the ceasefire and they're going to keep fighting, right? And so Israel says, well, if you're going to strike at us, we're going to strike back. But they are, again, ready, willing, and able to go back to full-scale conflict with Iran as well. And so I'm watching the time here because I've got a bunch more videos for you. And somebody asked President Trump about this, which, specifically, are you controlling Israel and telling them that they cannot fight at all? And President Trump gave a very, very good answer to that.
I mean, we're just talking about it. Israel is going to have to defend itself if they're shot at, and they will. I would never say that they can't. It would be nice if they wouldn't have to bother with that, but if something happens, they're going to have to defend themselves, as you know. But they're going to do it carefully, and they're going to be surgical as opposed to beyond surgical. And there's a lot they can do, but Israel's going to have to defend itself.
So that makes it pretty clear. Israel's going to have to defend itself, and that's. Let's see, take that off the stage. And President Trump is making it clear. I'm not prohibiting them from defending themselves. I'm just asking them not to continue pressing the attack against Hezbollah unless they are defending themselves. So that makes tons of sense. And it shows President Trump is the one calling the shots here and not Israel. So all of those pundits on the woke right, all of those guys, McGregor and Ritter and Mamdani and AOC and all these crazy leftists and rightists, like people on the woke right, who are saying that it's the Jews. Well, apparently it's not. It is President Trump who is calling the shots. Now, one more thing on what's happening in Israel before we get on to what's going on in Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu made a statement today admitting that he's been having some health problems, and he actually said in the statement he didn't want to put that out because it didn't want to give the Iranians more ammunition or anything to say, he's on his last legs or anything like that. What he admitted to is that he had treatment for benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, enlarged prostate, and got that fixed. He said, thank God, I can attest to that because I had the same treatment done in December, and thank God, it's so nice to be able to go to the bathroom like a normal person now. But he also said that they found a spot of cancer on his remaining prostate, and that he had another treatment done. They told him, look, this is slow growing. Most older men are going to die with prostate cancer. Very few die of prostate cancer. So you can just, ignore it, just live with it for the rest of your life. And he said, you guys know me, I'm not that kind of person. If there's a problem, I'm going to address it right.
Tackle pet messes with Nature's Miracles stain and odor remover products. Unlike formulas that only target odors, our dual-action bioenzymatic formula doesn't quit until
62 if you can use his arrows. Interesting.
We don't want your child to be killed because your child is ignorant. If you say one sound that sounds like it aligns with our enemies, then you're dead. And that punk, I mean, this guy, when I see that, it just fires me up because I just hope and pray, just my innate